Some interesting words there. It's twofold, really. It's like you could be welcome back, even though they're looking and exploring moves away. And he's saying that he's happy with the squad that he's got.
Really? I have no idea what he's trying to say. It's complete and utter gobbledygook. And he says, I'm happy with what we've got. Does he remember that last year they were, what, 16th?
15th.
15th. Oh, beg your pardon. That's all right. Oh, that's okay.
Please.
I honestly, I have no idea. What's he talking about? We've got all the players that want to be here. And then if all the other players, nobody buys them, then they're welcome back. I mean, the only guarantee with him coming out and saying things like that is in the dressing room, the players are going to lose respect for him. Because he tried to send messages since he got there with the Rashford situation, the Garnacho situation. He tries to send a message in pre-season by telling the famous five to train on their own, and then this week they're going to be welcome if nobody comes in for them. I mean, absolute gobbledygook. And if we thought a break for Amorim to get things in order at Manchester United, then it's made no difference, because it just looks like a shambles, as it was when the season ended. Absolute madness.
Do you think there's any clarifying what he said here, Jules? Is he serious or is he bluffing?
Well, I hope for him it's serious. There would be no point for him to come on record and say those things, like Stevie just said. If he didn't mean them, you don't say those kind of things. But again, and it's not the first time we talk about his communication and the club's communication as a whole, which is sometimes really hard to follow, sometimes really hard to understand. And in this case, it sounds very stupid and naive, because as we said, and the last time I think I was on the show with you, we talked about those 5 players who were training on their own, were not allowed at the training ground before 5 p.m. And we said what a bad look this was for Amorim himself and for a club like Manchester United. They're not the only club to do that, but it's not a good look for anybody, really. And it's almost like if they watched our show and thought, yeah, this is not great. Let's change our tune completely and say, actually, we welcome all them back. Rashford is gone now, but the other 4, okay, if nobody comes from them, they are welcome back. And surely it's not true that he's happy with the squad, because he's been asking for number 9 for weeks and weeks now, and still none has come.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Shaka? Because we've heard him in that quote saying players that want to be here, but we've seen that these players are exploring moves away. He said before he doesn't want players in the squad that don't want to be there. So why is he offering an olive branch here? Why the change of heart?
Well, I think because he has to offer an olive branch, to your point, Kay. And I think there's 2 aspects to this statement. He has to say he's happy with the squad. Every manager does. Even when you're trying to sign players, nobody really believes it. We're well on the outside looking in. So we can judge this very differently. But normally around this time, you would hear managers say, listen, we're trying to make a couple of signings. If we get them, great. If not, I'm happy to go into the season with the squad that I have. That one statement alone contradicts itself, but you hear it season in, season out. All managers are going to say they're happy with the squad. The other aspect of this is we're going to welcome the players back in. Now, that is directed at the 4 players who are going to be reintegrated into the squad because they can't get a move away. But none of them are going to fall for that, because of how you ostracize them, how public it was, how harshly the wording and the criticism was just a couple of weeks ago. Now all of a sudden the tune is, and we criticized that kind of statement and what was being communicated. Because if you say these players are not a part of my plans, what that says to any club who's even remotely interested is the prices are going down. The longer we leave this, the price is going further and further down. So they shot themselves in the foot to start with. Now you're trying to welcome the players back, and you're pretty much saying all that really negative stuff I said a couple of weeks ago, don't believe that. I changed my mind on that. Nobody's going to fall for it. Absolutely nobody's going to fall for it. Malacia and Sancho have 1 year left, so they're under some pressure, but they might think, I'll sit this out and see what comes in a year's time. Anthony's got 2. Garnacho's sitting pretty with 3 years to run. So I just feel that, sitting as far as these now 4 players go, Manchester United just keep shooting themselves in the foot over and over again in how they handle it.
Will these players believe him, Stevie? And as a player, is it possible to move past that?
No. I don't believe it is. I think there's the odd exception, as always, where somebody may be able to move past what has been going on with them in particular. But when you've got 4 of them, and they know exactly that between now and the end of the season, or the end of the transfer window, is exactly what Shaka said. They'll be thinking, you know what, that's good. We can actually get back and do some training, be with the squad, get ourselves in good shape. Because the day before it shuts down, teams will probably come in and try and get us. So from their point of view, they're not falling for this, we'll welcome you back. This is a good opportunity for them to look after themselves, get themselves physically fit, because they're going to be training with everybody, they're going to be involved in games, they're going to be playing, and then they can get going. But there's absolutely no chance that they're all going to wipe the slate clean and it's a brand new beginning. Not a chance.
Let me just tell one little side story here. So back in, this would have been 2001 season, I'm at West Ham. I'm in the last year of my contract. Glenn Roeder is appointed as manager of West Ham United. The very first day of preseason. Now, all summer I'd heard speculation that he was trying to sign David James. The very first day of preseason, he calls me into his office, and while I applaud his honesty for this, he says, listen, I'm signing David James, and in all honesty, I don't expect you to play. David's never injured. I know you have a year left on your contract. I'm keeping you, I'm not moving you on. But in all honesty, I don't expect you to play. Well, you could imagine the preseason I had. I did not run a lick. I'm not I was a good runner to start with, but I all of a sudden got considerably worse. Then the first international window that falls early September or whatever it is, David James gets injured for playing for England and is out for about 5 or 6 months. And now all of a sudden, Glenn Roeder has to come to me, put his arm around me, and I'm his best friend. Mm-hmm. At no point, and while I played every single game for that 5 months, at no point was I ever kind of playing for Glenn Roeder. I was just playing because at this point, I mean, I couldn't tell you, and I guess I can talk about it looking back now. I couldn't tell you how just kind of poor, how deflated I felt throughout. And it was just a matter of time that I can't wait for David to be fit, because I did not enjoy a single minute playing for Glenn Roeder. That's what all 4 of those players are going to have to deal with right now. So I feel sorry for Anthony with 2 years to left, even more so for Garnacho with 3, because who knows how they're coping with this.
Yeah, and you wonder as well, Jules, back to your point of whether, like, how good he actually is with this Ruben Amorim. Is he actually just conceding that he doesn't think there will be any more players coming in at Manchester United for him?
It's a good question. I think he knows they're trying. They're going to try to bring him a number 9. We said, yeah, you can play Cunha. You still have Højlund and Zirkzee, although you are looking for clubs for them to leave your club because he hasn't worked out for them. So I think he knows too well that this is not the final squad. And we said the other night when we put this possible 11 on the stream that a lot can still change, because if there's a 9, then Cunha drops a bit deeper. If there's no number 9, then Bruno can play a bit higher. If there's a 6, so there's a lot of things that can still change. And Ruben Amorim can't be happy with this 11. Yeah, Cunha and Mbeumo are good signings, and Mbeumo especially in my eyes. But he knows there's still a lot more to be done. Goalkeeper, number 9, another defensive midfielder, so much on. So I think this is where it is. And there's something else that I think we need to add here. Until this week, he didn't have to speak, Ruben Amorim. He was on holidays, then he was starting training at Carrington in Manchester with no media, no press conference, nothing. Now they are on tour, like all the other clubs, by the way. He will have press conferences before the friendly matches, after the friendly matches, questions being asked about those 4, who's training with you, who you want to keep, who you don't want to keep, who you're trying to sign. Whereas before, there was none of that. So he could tell the whole squad, I don't want you here before 5, 11 p.m., midnight, whatever he wanted, it was fine. Now questions are being asked every 3 or 4 days in this preseason tour. There's a lot of journalists who are there. Our own Rob Dawson is there with United. And suddenly Amorim is back into the spotlight with all those questions. And that's why I think also the communication, what he's saying and what the club's view has been is changing, because now he's being asked about it and he has to come publicly and respond to all those questions.
How hard is it not to say too much when these questions keep coming at you, Stevie?
Well, it shouldn't be. You know, he should be smart enough to, as I always say, tell them what you want them to know, not what they want to know. and just dodge the questions. That's all you got to do. Particularly, I mean, I would have hoped that somebody at Manchester United on the PR side would have gotten a hold of Amorim and spoken to him along those lines. Look, you don't have to answer questions. We don't expect you to answer all these questions. Answer what you're comfortable with. Other than that, you dodge them. Don't answer them. Don't give them add more fuel to the fire. But he clearly doesn't. He had absolutely no idea. Last week he was talking about how slow they were in the middle of the park, how they need to bring somebody in. I mean, that was one of his first press conferences. And he's given the players pelters. And then this week he's gone the complete opposite way, and everything, the sun's shining every day of the week in Manchester right now, apparently.